What's good, YouTube? It's your boy KingSupreme. Back in the video today, we got destroying the myth that Michael Jordan dominated a weak era. Now, if you're new here, welcome to the channel, homies. Just be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share if you want to see more bangers from the boy. You feel me? Because the grind never stops. But hey, bro, I'm so excited for this video, bro, because I saw this in the comments, but I was like, bro, I've been wanting to see like why people always be like, you know, oh, he was playing some what's it called, some plumbers. I'm like, bro, what? Like, bro, Michael, but you know, and again, and those are like the people who try to compare like LeBron or whatever to him, and like that. Again, I appreciate greatness, LeBron, Jordan, whoever it is, bro. But to try to discredit Jordan for like and saying he played with like a week, like what? But I really wanted to get to a video like this, and it was crazy because I saw one of y'all comment this. I was like, wow, there's actually a video on this. So very excited. Y'all know how much I love these Michael Jordan videos. So let me know what other videos you want me to get to, but I'm gonna get tuned in because I'm really excited to watch this one.
It's a narrative we've heard over and over again, often from people who want to diminish Jordan's legacy.
Yeah.
The claim is that Michael Jordan dominated a weak era. He didn't start winning until Magic got HIV, until Bird retired because of back problems, and until the Pistons run was done. People assume that because Jordan couldn't win in the 80s, but then won in the 90s, that it's because the competition weakened. But that's an opinion that's severely lacking context. When Jordan was losing in the 80s, Michael was performing at an MVP level, but Scottie Pippen hadn't developed into a co-star until about 1990. Up until that point, Jordan was a lone all-star with a collection of role players going up against the super teams of the 80s. As good as Jordan was, alone he wasn't enough to take down a collection of all-stars like Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish, or a Pistons team with Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, and Dennis Rodman.
They were nasty.
It takes a team to win in the NBA, and once Scottie Pippen developed into a co-star, the Bulls never looked back. There's also the narrative that when the Bulls finally broke through and beat the Pistons in 1991, it was because the Pistons had become old and the Bulls were younger. This is a bogus narrative that does nothing but discredit the Bulls' greatness. The Pistons' best player, Isaiah Thomas, was only 29 years old. Joe Dumars was 27 years old, Mark Aguirre was 31, Bill Laimbeer was 33, and Dennis Rodman was 29.
Everyone's in their prime, but
most of their best players were in the prime age of their careers, yet the Bulls were too much for them. At that point, we had seen the Bulls and Pistons face each other in the playoffs 4 years in a row.
Wow.
So although the matchup between the Bulls and Pistons was getting old, the Pistons certainly were not. The Bulls didn't start winning because the talent around the league had weakened. They won because a prime Jordan got some much-needed help that the other stars like Thomas and Bird had been enjoying throughout the 1980s. This weak era narrative doesn't just stem from Jordan's failures in the 80s, but it also comes from people discrediting the teams he faced in the finals throughout the 90s. So with that being said, let's break it down year by year, looking at each team Jordan faced in the NBA Finals.
I'm bro, I love these kind of videos, but it'd be so interesting, bro. I'd be so hooked, bro. I'd be like, oh my god, what they about to say, bro. Let me know if y'all enjoy these videos as well, bro. But I'm addicted to them.
The 1991 LA Lakers. The 91 Lakers finished the year with the third best record in the Western Conference with a 58-24 record.
Solid.
They were led by a still elite Magic Johnson, who even at 32 years old, still put up his usual 20 points and 12 assists per game.
Balling on these
James Worthy was his usual running mate, who was averaging 21 points per game over the course of the year. There was also quality supporting players like Byron Scott, Vlade Divac, and Sam Perkins. With all of that being said, this was not the same Lakers team of the 1980s. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had recently retired, and both James Worthy and Byron Scott suffered injuries in Game 4 of the series versus the Bulls. Magic Johnson simply didn't have enough support to make the series interesting for Jordan and the Bulls, and the Bulls won the championship comfortably in only 5 games. In my opinion, this was the easiest opposition Jordan ever faced in the NBA Finals.
And that's still facing Magic fucking Johnson. Like, this look, like, this is crazy, bro. Come on now.
The 1992 Portland Trailblazers. The 92 Blazers finished the regular season with a 57-25 record, which was the best.
This weakest competition was still a Magic Johnson who was still going stupid on these things. Like, come on now. Like, this
Finals.
weakest competition in the finals. Like,
The 1992 Portland Trailblazers. The 92 Blazers finished the regular season with a 57-25 record, which was the best record in the Western Conference.
solid.
They were coached by Rick Adelman, who was a respected coach around the league and an annual Coach of the Year candidate. Adelman won nearly 60% of his games over his career and regularly coached teams into being elite squads defensively. This Portland team was no exception, as they were ranked the third best team in the league defensively that year. They were obviously led by Clyde Drexler, who was in the prime of his career, averaging 25 points, 7 boards, and 7 assists.
I forgot what
Clyde was the second best shooting guard in the league behind Jordan.
Damn.
Behind their superstar in Clyde, they had plenty of depth to back him up. Clyde's co-star was the point guard Terry Porter, who averaged nearly 20 points per game and
one thing that always kind of got me, why do they all look so damn old, bruh? Like, but they're like younger, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not disrespecting that. I'm being serious, bruh. Like, look at Drexler. Drexler looks like he's 50 years old right here, bruh. And that's, I'm not dissing him, bruh. Like, why did like basketball players back then look so damn old, bruh? Like, even though they were still like young as hell. I don't know. Like, why is it that? Let me know if y'all know, bro. But hey, they're still looking fly, bro. I'm just saying they look kind of like old.
behind their superstar in Clyde, they had plenty of depth to back him up. Clyde's co-star was the point guard Terry Porter, who averaged nearly 20 points per game and orchestrated the team's elite offense. Terry was also one of the most lethal and efficient three-point shooters in the game, which helped spread the floor for the Blazers.
I didn't know that.
At small forward, they had the 29-year-old Jerome Kersey, who just 2 years prior was averaging 20 points per game of his own. They also had Buck Williams at power forward, who was a walking double-double. He was the Rookie of the Year his first year in the league, and Buck was also one of the best defenders in the league at his position.
Big body.
Buck made 4 all-defense teams and was a 3-time NBA All-Star.
Big body.
On top of all of that, they had other quality and veteran players with experience, like the scrappy Danny Ainge, Clifford Robertson,
Danny.
and Kevin Duckworth.
Okay,
and
Danny.
each of those guys had made All-Star appearances in their careers.
Danny.
The Deep Blazers had a total of 6 players who averaged double-digit scoring that year, compared to the Bulls, who only had 3 players, Jordan, Pippen, and Horace Grant. So I think you get the point.
I get it.
This Blazers squad was absolutely loaded with talent, and although many of the names on that team have since been forgotten, it would have been absolutely ludicrous in 1992 if you had said their team was weak.
Right.
The 1993 Phoenix Suns.
Talk to him, man.
The 93 Suns had finished the NBA season with a 62-20 record, which was the best record in the entire NBA. Not only did they have the best record in the league and the league's top-rated offense, but they also had the league MVP. Charles Barkley was one of the greatest players in NBA history,
Literally.
who was just 29 years old and coming off of a season where he averaged 25 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists. Helping Barkley was an elite 26-year-old point guard, Kevin Johnson, who was a 3-time All-Star and had been on 5 All-NBA teams. Kevin Johnson, the energy and effort behind the Suns season, and had averaged 18 points and 9 assists that year.
Oh, he was diamond.
On this year's Suns was also the recently acquired Danny Ainge, who crossed paths with Jordan a lot in the playoffs. They also had Dan Marley, who was one of the best wing defenders in the NBA at this time, and was also an elite three-point shooter who was chipping in 17 points per game that season. Add in quality veteran scorers like Tom Chambers and Cedric Ceballos, and what you have is one of the greatest teams ever to fail to win a championship.
Wow.
I'm telling you guys, this Phoenix team was incredible. They had absolutely everything, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Because they faced
The Bulls
Jordan.
were clicking at the right time, and Jordan had arguably the greatest final series of any player ever, as he averaged an incredible 41 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 6.3 assists over a hard-fought 6-game series. The 1996 Seattle Supersonics. This Sonics team was another nasty one. The 96 Sonics finished their season with a 64-18 record, which was the best record in the Western Conference, but was still overshadowed by the Bulls' 72-10 record. They were coached by a Coach of the Year winner, George Karl, and with the exception of Jordan's Bulls, the Sonics had the best defense in the league that season. This Sonics group didn't have a single player who averaged over 20 points per game that season, but they were extremely gritty and well-balanced. They had their prime superstar tandem of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
But they were nasty.
Kemp averaged nearly 20 points and 11 boards and was known for his ferocity.
Why did the Sonics ever, like, why did they stop? Were they not making enough money or something? Because I want the Sonics back, bro. I mean, I know they switched to the Thunder. That's what it was, right? But still, I want the Sonics, though. Like, what's up with Seattle, though? Where y'all at, though?
Aggression around the rim. Peyton was
But I didn't realize. I knew MJ's competition wasn't like, obviously, I love any era, bro, and I never thought like obviously Jordan's competition was weaker than that, but I just didn't realize it was this crazy. Like I knew they faced the Jazz, the Lakers or whatever, but I just didn't realize like how sturdy these teams were. Like these niggas sturdy.
Averaging almost 20 points, was an excellent facilitator, and was that season's steals champion and defensive player of the year. Then you had Hersey Hawkins, who was a quality scorer and spark for the Sonics, Detlef Schrempf, a 6'9" small forward who was a 2-time Sixth Man of the Year winner who was averaging 17 points per game that season. These are the type of guys that people don't remember, but who are the difference makers in playoff basketball. This Sonics team was definitely championship worthy. With their collection of talent and their gritty defensive identity, they really remind me of the 2003-2004 Detroit Pistons, who used their team effort to take down the super team Lakers.
W comparison.
As worthy as the Sonics team was, no one was beating Jordan and the 72-10 Bulls that season.
No one.
The 1997 Utah Jazz. The 97 Jazz finished the regular season with a 64-18 record, which was the best record in all of the Western Conference. The Jazz were the second best offense in the league that season, behind Jordan's Bulls, and they were also a top 10 defensive team. If you exclude Magic Johnson and Tim Duncan, then the 97 Jazz had arguably the greatest power forward ever and the greatest point guard ever in their starting five.
That's crazy.
Stockton and Malone were a dynamic, championship-worthy tandem on both the offensive end and the defensive end.
That's crazy.
Even beyond Stockton and Malone, the Jazz had plenty of depth that's been forgotten over the years, like Jeff Hornacek, who was a consistent and reliable third option for the Jazz, who was one of the best three-point shooters in the league. You know this Jazz team was legit by simply considering who they had to beat just to get to the finals. In the Western Conference Finals, the Jazz defeated the Houston Rockets in 6 games. A Rockets super team stacked with Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and Clyde Drexler leading the way. This Jazz team earned their stripes, but the Bulls handled them comfortably in 6 games.
Want a second income stream?
Oh my God.
Store? Then you can now build it.
I love this.
The 1998 Utah Jazz. The 98 Jazz had relatively the same strong roster and finished the regular season with the best offense in the league and a 62-20 record. The most significant thing that changed since the previous season was that the Bulls had weakened. Jordan was 35 years old, Rodman was 37 years old, and Pippen was 32 and had missed nearly half of the season due to his laboring back problems.
Pretty damn old.
Yet despite all of those disadvantages, Jordan still led the Bulls to win in 6 games over the Jazz for their second straight season.
Go.
In that finals series, Jordan quite literally carried the Bulls as he averaged 33.5 points of the Bulls' 88 points per game that series. Now that I've recapped each finals team Jordan faced in the 90s, I want to make my closing point about generational talent.
Already made your point.
It's easy for the casual NBA fan to look at Jordan's competition of the 90s and criticize it because people simply don't remember the talent or weren't even watching at the time. So
what's that called? It's called that recency. What's that, recency bias? Is that what they call it? That's what people, you know what I'm saying? It's that recency bias, bro. That's all it is, dawg. You feel me? Like, that's all it is, that recency bias shit.
And to look at Jordan's competition of the 90s and criticize it because people simply don't remember the talent or weren't even watching at the time, so they don't truly know how talented those teams were.
Hating ass.
Think of the impact players in today's game, like Andre Iguodala, Steven Adams, Lou Williams, and Aaron Gordon. These are just a few examples of talented players who are often the difference in wins and losses for their teams. But in a few decades, no one will be talking about these guys the same way no one talks about guys like Terry Porter, Dan Marley, Detlef Schrempf, and Jeff Hornacek. At a certain point, people won't remember the overall talent of teams, and it becomes just about the stars. The young casuals will say things like, so Jordan and Pippen beat Barkley in the finals, big deal. What else did Barkley have?
Come on, nigga.
A lot, actually. Heck, sometimes it's not even the solid role players who get forgotten, but sometimes it's even the star players themselves. A perfect example of a modern player who could eventually be forgotten is Paul George. Sure, he puts up great numbers and was even an MVP candidate for a while this year, but in 2 to 3 decades, people won't be talking about this guy. How do I know this? because I've already seen it with guys like Adrian Dantley, Sidney Moncrief, Clyde Drexler, and Alex English. These were guys who averaged 25 to 30 points per game and carried their franchises year in and year out. But into the future, people generally don't talk about the greats who didn't win championships. So again, with that in mind, it's easy to see why people diminish Jordan's competition in the 90s, because when Jordan was playing in the 90s, he was the only one winning. And those are the ones we remember.
For real.
No matter how you try and spin it, the reality is that Michael Jordan led a Bulls team that dominated an era of legitimate and fierce competition that many people just simply don't remember or just never knew.
They never knew.
Thanks for watching my video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how you grade Michael Jordan's competition in the NBA Finals. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
I'll see you, my dog. What they been doing? What they did, bro? What was they doing, bro? What all they doing? And if you show any of those people them video, then they're gonna be awake. You feel me? But they still sleep though. They still sleep. Just because your favorite player is LeBron James or whatever doesn't mean you can't appreciate the greatness of the past. Boy, you feel me? Stop hating. Stop fucking hating. Quit dick riding LeBron, bro. I'm saying this as a LeBron fan. But the LeBron fans be dick riding the fuck out of them, bro. They will literally go they'll go to hell over trying to argue the fact that LeBron is the best player of all time and his competition. You're like, bro, appreciate greatness from each era, bro. Don't diminish no one. These dogs are the ones that paved the path for your favorite player, for LeBron, for all them players, Steph Curry, all of them, bro. Put some respect on their names, bro. Like, come on now. But that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. More videos dropping soon. This was really probably one of my favorite Michael Jordan videos. I love them. They be a shout out to I always gonna get a shout out to. Shout outs to my dog Johnny Arnett, bro. Subscribe to my dog Johnny Arnett with the fire video, bro. But that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. More videos dropping soon. These Michael Jordan videos are addicting, bro. And I know there's still a lot left to get to. But yeah, that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed it. More videos dropping soon. Love every single one of y'all. I'll catch y'all next time. But like, comment, subscribe, and share if you want to see more videos. Instagram's on the bottom of that screen. Also in the description if you want to hit me up, DM me, message me, do all that shit so I can keep on spamming these videos out for you. I appreciate y'all so much for watching. It's your boy KingSupreme. I'll catch y'all next time, homies.